On this episode of Money and Power, brought to you by the Infinity Podcast Network, meth juice, ELPs, and half-staff flags. But first, Kid Inc.
I got the money and the power. Yeah. Once you get a little, they just want to take you down, cuz we've been going hard for too long. Can't get enough, what is you on? Yeah. Really ain't nothing I can drop that. Wake up in the morning, make it all back. It's nothing
Welcome to episode 34 of Money and Power, our weekly look at questions related to finance, politics, and culture. I'm your host, Nathan Martin, and joining me from Michigan, a financial consultant and host of the Rob Talks Money and Apologetics 105 podcast, also on the Infinity Podcast Network, Rob Johnson.
Welcome back to the States.
And joining me in the studio, here in the crown jewel of rural Ohio, our main collegiate athlete, Jeremiah Martin.
Present.
Together we are the trio of talk, the triad of the tittle tattle, and the triumvirate of the tete-a-tete. So how was your guys' week?
Excellent.
Nice.
Just I've not just the week, but specifically today has been just a solid day. So I had Army Reserve this weekend, got back last night. We had a kind of a half day to allow time to spend with the family. So I got home at a reasonable time yesterday. It was a 3-hour drive. Got home at a reasonable time, hung out with the family, had a really good night. Today, I not only did I get a gigantic box of Strikeforce Energy that I had ordered from a Black Friday deal. So that was amazing. I mean, that just in itself would have been an amazing day. But I also started a new job today.
Yeah, congrats. So you are now a chief operating officer.
Yeah, that's right. So I just started with a nonprofit called Forge Leadership Network, which is an organization that trains and mentors the next generation of leaders. And so it's a great organization. I'm an alumnus of that organization. Went through the program back in 2015. It's just been a great program, and just from a professional development standpoint, there's nothing better. So it's been great, and I'm glad to be a part of it officially now as staff. So it just started today, and so it's been a pretty good week.
So you were going through all your onboarding today?
Oh yeah, a bunch of stuff, just systems and processes and emails and all of that jazz. So all that fun stuff, and still have a lot to go on that process. So that part isn't so fun, but everything else is pretty awesome.
Nice. Any diversity training?
Well, one of the running jokes in the organization is that we're all really big fans of The Office, and so basically, diversity training is just watching diversity training the episode of The Office. That's good. It's probably good enough, right?
Accurate. I think so. I think you're dinging, Rob.
Yep. Yeah, my wife was texting me. So
okay.
I was gonna add in a funny anecdote. So the company that I work for, they do like sensitivity training and whatnot every year, and they span it out like you do a few classes every couple of months. And one of the classes talks about things not to say to your associates, which is a terrible video because now these are the jokes that we say in the office. And one of the best ones is, so like Ted walks up to Bill and he's like, "Hey Bill, that's a great shirt. Did they make it for men?" So now every time someone wears it, a new shirt to the office, that's what they get to hear.
That's so awesome.
So that reminds me. So when I first enlisted, I was in the Tennessee National Guard, And prior to going to basic training, they send you to a unit that is made up of not really drill sergeants, but basically leaders who can train you up before going to basic training. So it's like a pre-basic training, and so every month, instead of going to a unit for your weekends, you go to this kind of pre-basic training thing, and every month until you ship out. And so 1 month, and I don't remember the exact details, but 1 month it might have been like a family day or something like that on the Sunday, and so Emily came to join me, and on that Sunday I was in a separate training, and so I wasn't where she was, but she got sent to a classroom where she was told that I was going to be, and it turns out that it was a bunch of soldiers having sexual harassment training, and they had all these videos, and one of the videos was basically, obviously it wasn't graphic, but it was a video of someone being sexually assaulted, and it was just the weirdest, creepiest video, and it's like, here's what not to do, basically. And Emily's just sitting there in a corner. She's the only one who's not in a military uniform, and she's just like awkwardly sitting there like, I'm just here to pick up my husband.
Was it the boy on girl one or the boy on boy one?
It was boy on girl. It was like in a back alley, like behind a bar, and
Right.
It was just like, it was like, is it really necessary to show this? Like,
Yeah. My favorite was the boy on boy one. That was really great.
Do you want to rephrase that?
No, I was just gonna leave it.
Because I'm totally cutting that out and putting it on the website.
I hate you. So my favorite. So talking about diversity training. So obviously the military. My favorite. I took a picture of it. It was a sexual assault like banner, and it said something to the effect of it said consent, just do it. Okay, that was the slogan. Consent, just do it, which in itself is not the greatest, but it had like sexual harassment in lines, so it basically looked like sexual harassment, just do it. And then sexual assault, just do it. Like it was all around the just do it, and the consent was like weirdly placed. Yeah, it was great. A little bizarre, but it's what you get. So, but on TV shows, my favorite episode is on sensitivity training. The Office one is pretty good, but have you guys seen Rescue Me?
yes.
And the sensitivity training.
I've never actually seen the show, but I've seen the clip that you're referring to.
Yes, it's a minute 34 seconds of amazingness, and it says in the YouTube comments, "Warning: comedic racism." I can't even make that up. I don't even know what that means. Comedic racism is like, it's not really racism; it's comedic racism, so it's all right. But, anyways, I encourage you to go look that up if you are so inclined. All right, so I came back from a cruise. Thank you guys for covering down on the podcast. It was a great show, I'm sure.
I liked it.
My phone died, so I haven't quite listened to it yet, but I'm planning on listening it on my way to DC tomorrow. So
My personal apologies to all of our listeners for my mic sounding like complete trash. This is what happens when I'm not in studio with Nathan. I actually brought my mic from Nathan's studio to my house, got it all set up, we're ready to rock and roll, and I don't think that I had the mic actually set up in Google Hangouts, and so I was just basically talking into my computer. So, for those who listened last week, I apologize, because honestly, I mean, obviously this is just my opinion, but in my opinion, it was a great show. Not necessarily because Nathan wasn't there, but because of the panel we brought on. I thought it was a great show, and so hopefully you were able to listen to the content and not necessarily the sound of my voice. So, my apologies.
Yeah, that was my fault. It was funny too because before we set up, I took control of Jeremiah's stuff and set his system mic to the Pro mic, the Yeti mic. But then I forgot that we record through Hangouts, and that has another setting as well. So I'll take partial blame.
Nah, I blame Google.
Yeah, let's blame Google. They suck lately.
In fairness, everyone already always listens for the good content and not Jeremiah's voice. So
most people, I've heard most
Nothing.
people listen for my voice. So
nothing
that's
new.
nice.
You know, everyone listens for your voice. So
I've heard that. I've actually heard that from at least one of your wives. So
yeah, that would be mine. My wife loves your voice. It's kind of creepy, but it is what it is. All right, so now we come to the part of the show where it's time. My goodness. These show notes, Jeremiah reformatted them. So my eyes quickly went to where they usually are, and they are not there. So I'm just having to go by memory. It is time for a look back at the weird, the inane, and the general happenings going on in the world by the crazy people who happen to live here. News bits.
News bits. Show me your bits of news.
All right, Jeremiah, what do you got?
all right, so this is kind of a twofer, but it's related. So it's two different articles, but I'm smashing them together into one just glorious news bit. Okay, so
Gross.
Article 1 is, don't worry, Friends is still here for you. Sitcom is not leaving Netflix yet. This is from USA Today. All of the buzz on Twitter today has been that Friends is leaving. This is the television show. Friends is leaving Netflix, and this came about because apparently there was a note on some episodes that said that they were expiring January 1st of 2019, or that they were no longer going to be available after January 1st, 2019. So, as it often does, Twitter was just on fire about this. People saying, I'm canceling Netflix if they remove Friends. Netflix is really removing Friends on January 1st, and the only reason I have an account is to rewatch the same episodes of the show whenever I'm bored, so I guess it's time to cancel my subscription. Another user says, the only reason I have an account with Netflix is to rewatch Friends. Why, Netflix? Why are you hurting us? And other choice words and choice phrases and fun stuff directed at Netflix. So it turns out that Netflix's official statement is that Friends is actually going to be on Netflix throughout 2019. So do not worry. Do not worry for anyone who actually cares about Friends. So that is interesting. But moving on to the second article, and this is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart lately. Now, as everyone on this podcast knows, that one of my favorite shows ever is The Office, and my wife and I regularly watch The Office nearly every day, if not every day. So what often happens is we'll log on to Netflix, we'll scroll a little bit, see if there's anything new, see if there's anything that stands out, and then it doesn't, and then we end up just watching The Office. But recently, that has changed. Well, we still watch The Office, but we have found a new love, and this is from the Outline.com. And it says, Jeopardy is the only thing on Netflix worth watching. As a company, it says, Netflix is terrifying. They account for an alarmingly large amount of all the traffic on the internet and foster a dystopian corporate culture that sounds like an in-real-life version of 1984. Dramatic much? But anyway, meanwhile, between its crappy algorithm and surplus of crappy original content that clogs up your Netflix homepage, finding something on the service that you actually enjoy can be kind of a nightmare. And yet, I am I subscribe to Netflix anyway. It's usually not worth it, but sometimes, such as when a week ago, I fired up Netflix and discovered that the service had made 45 episodes of Jeopardy available for streaming. It almost is worth it. So, my wife and I, we found Jeopardy on Netflix, and we've been loving it. So we've been binge watching. So, my news bit is pretty much just explaining my wife and I's Netflix habits, which I'm sure is incredibly interesting radio. But my question to you guys is, my wife and I have been talking that honest, this is the 100% truth. If they remove The Office from Netflix, we would cancel immediately. It's pretty much the only reason we have. There's some other things that we watch here and there, like Jeopardy, but we would for sure cancel it. It just definitely would not be worth it. So, for you guys, do you guys have anything like that that they take away Friends or they take away The Office or anything like that you would cancel? And this doesn't just go for Netflix, any of your streaming services?
Yeah, if Paw Patrol wasn't on Netflix, my kids would revolt, I think.
Fair enough.
But aside from that, I don't.
It's a great show.
No, I mean, I have so many streaming services, like I can find anything. Between Hulu, I'm a cord cutter, so I don't have cable. So, between Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon Prime, like, if it's not on one of those things, then, it doesn't exist almost. It's not like I'm short on entertainment options.
Yeah, we have those three, and then we have YouTube TV, which is a pretty great service. But MASH was on Netflix for a long time, and then they removed it, and then Hulu picked it up, and that wasn't enough for me to cancel Netflix. So probably nothing is.
Yeah, if that wouldn't, then nothing will, basically.
Yeah.
No.
All right, very nice. Just so everyone knows, Friends is going to be on Netflix at least through 2019. Jeopardy is also on Netflix, and it's really enjoyable, and it's worth a watch.
So they did the same thing. Netflix did the same thing. So Mandy and I binge about every other year, every 3 years. I've talked about before, West Wing. And 1 year they announced that it was going to be going that next January. And so Mandy and I through the Christmas season binged every episode of West Wing before it went, and then they extended it at the last minute. So yeah, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. It's all right. So all right, Rob, what do you got?
Yeah, so something came about in the last 2 weeks, and this is from a YouTuber. His name he goes by the name of Meet Kevin, and I guess he's a real estate investor. And I got to be honest, Kevin seems like a bit of a douchebag, and the reason why is largely because he did this kind of like this takedown video of Dave Ramsey where he kind of infiltrated his ELP program to show how easy it was to get in, and then he talked about the benefits for Ramsey, the Ramsey Solutions Group, of his ELP program. So in one area, it's nice to know what exactly is involved in Ramsey's ELP program. On the other hand, it's looking like he's doing this as a marketing tactic to increase his real estate investment class that's online. So the reason why I said that he's a bit of a douchebag is because every video that he does about Ramsey, he does this video and he attempts some comedy, and then, as sort of like a B-roll, he's like, oh yeah, and by the way, check out my real estate investment class. And it's like, you're doing this for the wrong reasons, but basically the thing that I wanted to talk about was the way that Ramsey's ELP program works is it's seemingly not as trusted of a network as the Ramsey Group lets on. This guy had made dozens of videos about how he doesn't like Ramsey's products, and all this stuff was available online. And even when he applied, they still let him through. So this guy had a ton of videos like why Dave Ramsey's baby step sucks, yada, yada, yada. And even when he applied for the ELP program, they didn't do any name checking or any further investigation to see, if this was the same Kevin that's been, talking smack about Ramsey's group. So apparently, what I learned is that each Ramsey ELP pays $350 a month to be in the program, and then at least for the real estate side of things, they pay a 30% commission. And if they don't make enough sales or pay enough commissions, then they're removed from the group. But he did the math on just the real estate investors, and there was like 600 in the group. So at $350 a month by 12 months, it's like over $2.3 million per year that Ramsey is getting just from ELPs being in the program, not counting commissions, and that's not counting the other groups of ELPs. So seemingly it's a pretty lucrative program, and it's not as a trusted network of advisors as Ramsey would let on. So there's a few different things there, but all in all, some dishonest journalism, but some interesting reporting on how Ramsey runs his group, which, I mean, it's a very simple process to apply. So I didn't think that it was a bunch of superstars in the group.
Interesting. So 350 times 12.
Yeah.
Times 600. It's a lot of zeros.
Yeah.
I was just checking the math. That's a lot of.
Is it in the ballpark?
2.5?
Yeah, I think it's like 567 agents, or it was almost 600. So yeah, I'm just rounding. So yeah, that 2.5, 2.3, it's in the ballpark.
Yeah. Wow.
So having listened to Dave Ramsey quite a bit, I mean, he's talked about exactly what it takes to become an ELP. I don't think that there's any sort of illusion as to what an ELP is or is not. If you've listened to how they talk about them, like, pretty much at all. So, I mean, he said, like, these are people that pay to be in the program. It's not, it's not a given, but I mean, I don't know. I think this for me, this focuses more on the kind of the journalistic side of it, that it's essentially he's created a straw man and then he tore down the straw man. But
yeah.
If you actually listen, it's like, I don't know, it's not a big deal to me, because anytime that I've heard Dave Ramsey talking about his ELP program, this is in line with it. The only thing that there's a minor issue of is that he was able to get into the program. But there is an application process, and I've never done the process, so this is me trusting in what Dave Ramsey has said. But he said that they've got to go through a process, and they commit to coaching by certain standards that line up with Dave Ramsey principles. So, yes, if he went through the process and he lied about, yes, I'm going to follow this process, along with, according to Dave Ramsey's principles, then yeah, sure, he can get in. I mean, that's no different than someone lying on their resume and getting a job that they don't deserve. And then blaming, the employer for, hiring someone. It's like, well, yes, they should do their due diligence, but at scale, that's really difficult to do. So, I don't know. That's less of an issue. It's just more like, okay, once again, you're kind of a douche because you just lied on that application just to get in, just to prove how easy it is.
Yeah. So here's from the website. All right. So I went on DaveRamsey.com. This is from the website. Dave only endorses the best. Endorsed local providers can earn Dave's recommendation through their track record of success and commitment to fantastic customer service. When you use the EL program, you can expect. And then it goes through the expectations. And so here's where, so on its face, it kind of seems a little iffy. But if you read through the recommendations through the track record of success, etc., it is more of a not at the beginning, but through the process. So, for example, It says when you use the ELP program, you can expect support from Dave's team. As a part of the program, ELPs have a personal coach on Dave's team who holds them accountable to a higher standard of service. If a professional we recommend receives consistent low scores from our users, we will find a better one. We want you to have a fantastic experience working with our ELPs. So it sounds like the commitment and the track record is after they've actually been in the program, not prior to.
Yeah.
Which I think is an important distinction, and I'm okay with. So it does say that they work hard to find and vet the most reliable professionals in your area.
That was an interesting aspect as well. Was he did a little bit more of a deep dive into the Ramsey coach that was assigned to his profile, and he did record some audio that was pretty funny because the dude's like, hey, maybe they just had a death in the family or something, but if they put their number into the ELP website, you need to call them at least 6 times a week until you convert. And I was like, wow. The savages. But his thing was more so focusing on how it wasn't really getting them warm leads. It was just kind of filtering numbers, and that number can go to anybody in that zip code. So it's not really a well-organized program. And I think that when I've heard of the ELP program endorsed, it's like these are people that are Dave Ramsey certified. So it's kind of like when you're doing consulting. Like if I have a client through like RTM that wants good insurance or a good realtor or a good loan officer or something, I'm gonna give them someone who I know will do them a good job. I think the ELP program is attempting to scale fast, and when you do that, you don't have the opportunity to vet like I think Dave would want to. So I get both sides of it. This guy's kind of a douche for being dishonest, but I think Ramsey does need to reorganize how he does the ELP program and maybe scale it along with where he can vet, so he knows he has some quality people in there as well.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and I get that, but at the same time, if I'm looking for someone in my area, I could just do a Google search and find, and then I've got to do the vetting, or at the very least, if I go through the ELP program, maybe it's not the best of the best of the best in the area, but at least it's someone who has committed to abiding by certain principles. Now, whether they actually do that in reality is a different story, but it's still a level of vetting that I don't have from just getting doing a Google search. Committed
and invested too. I mean, it is a pretty substantial investment, $350 or whatever. So
yeah,
I can see both sides to it. Perhaps they need to do a little better job of vetting. Perhaps the guy just needs to get a life.
He definitely does. He seems like he's very desperate for attention and to make a bit of a splash, because he's a mess. So,
all right.
And I mean, honestly, like, it's a really good way to get YouTube hits. Like,
oh, for sure,
people are definitely searching for Dave Ramsey, and if he can get clicked on, and then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, buy my real estate academy.
Oh, it's not even by the way. It's, hey, check out my real estate academy, and let's get to the Dave Ramsey video. It's like, damn.
So
my man's pulling no punches.
I have one question, Rob?
Yeah.
No, this is his level of professionalism and creativity. Okay.
Yeah.
Does he call him Dave Shamsey?
He does not.
Then he's a moron. Missed opportunity.
Yep.
Like, I mean, come on. That's just right there for the taking. Whatever. Anyways, yeah, guy's a douche. Okay. So, my news bit, gentlemen, coming back with a vengeance. Our research team worked long and hard to find this one for us. Dateline, Gastonia, North Carolina. Gaston County resident Jasper Smith, age 62. And I sent you guys his photo.
My man.
Doesn't look 62. But anyways, was arrested yesterday on felony charges of manufacturing and distributing homemade, quote-unquote, energy drinks containing the powerful stimulant methamphetamine. The Gaston County Drug Force Task Force raided Smith's tree fort. In parentheses, it gets better, guys. In parentheses, Smith lives in a 200 square foot tree fort on his brother's property near Chapel Grove. To find Jasper wearing only an adult diaper and reading a Mexican pornographic magazine. Police seized approximately 25 2-liter bottles of Smith's quote-unquote energy drink found in a cinder block pump house on the South Gastonia property. The bottles tested positive for methamphetamine. Smith came under suspicion when he sold 4 bottles to several Hunter Huss high school girls who hours later were checked into Gaston Memorial Hospital with internal bleeding. The girls' parents phoned Gaston County authorities. A police report contains several statements from Smith. Now, this is where it gets really fun. As if all this wasn't awesome enough, right? I'm telling you what, our research team did an amazing job on this.
This sounds
This
like a
is the
Hallmark
news
Christmas
bit.
film.
This is the news bit that just keeps on giving.
Oh, it is. It gets better, guys. It gets better, I tell you. All right. Quote unquote. They're just energy drinks like Red Bull or Monster. It's not meth in there. It's just lemonade, caffeine, sugar, and a couple drops of gasoline. I swear to God, I didn't put meth in there. Quote unquote. Customers would come to Smith's Gastonia home to buy the energy drinks for $20 per bottle. One customer spoke on the condition of anonymity. All right, this is so great. I'm shocked Jasper put crank in his energy drinks. I didn't know nothing about that. I just knew they worked good to keep me awake for a couple days. Stuff way better than Monster.
Days?
With a Z.
Hours after Smith's first statement, he confessed, okay, I put just a little meth in there to get them addicted and keep customers coming back. I know they'll all testify against me, so let me make something else clear. I pissed in every bottle.
What?
Smith also faces child endangerment charges in Gaston County for poisoning the girls who drank his homemade concoction. Okay. So, okay, that this guy lives in a tree fort, and you guys saw the picture. Yeah. All right, we're gonna have to, Jeremiah. We're gonna have to put that picture so people could see this. Actually, you know, I'm gonna share this with the Facebook group.
Yeah,
and but so people went to his. Okay, you're going to a guy's tree fort, buying 2-liter bottles of this concoction at $20 a pop. And you don't think there's anything suspicious about that whatsoever.
Oh my God. I like how he's like, yeah, I put some meth in it. I pissed in it too. It's
yeah,
like, all right.
So if you want to testify against me, you'll have to admit that you're drinking piss.
And the bottle is
I like how...
Oh, go ahead, Jim.
I like how in the beginning he's like, no, it's just lemonade and caffeine and just a couple drops of gasoline.
little sugar.
That's still illegal. Like, maybe not drug charges worth, but like you're selling gasoline as a energy drink to high school children. Like,
and the bottle, I'll just give you the play-by-play. It looks like if you took a 2-liter Mountain Dew and peeled the label off, so it's still got the glue on the where the label was at, and then he took like 2 white pieces of tape and an energy drink, and they're not centered or straight, and then he took another one and it says $20 underneath it, so it looks like a joke. He did spell energy drink right, though, so that's cool.
oh my goodness.
The news bit of the year, Nathan.
I'm speechless. I mean, I think that's it for the show. Like, I think we.
Yeah,
This
guy does.
Where do we go from here?
This guy does look like he belongs on Faces of Meth for sure.
Okay, so dang it. All right, so I went to go share it, and Facebook said, "Hey, there's something on Snopes about this before you share it." So I clicked a link.
Oh no!
Yay, Facebook! All right.
Uh-oh.
So now I got to read the Snopes here. Here we go. Although it says it's false, but there's just some minor changes. So anyways, on 17 November 2018, the Facebook page, this is some Gaston County blank right here, posted a couple photographs supposedly showing the Gaston County resident Jasper Smith after he was arrested for selling energy drinks laced with meth. All right. This was not a genuine news story, nor even a particularly original piece of junk news. The article about Jasper Smith was lifted near verbatim from a ripoff from a fake news article. And the pornographic magazine was changed from Arabic to Mexican.
Classic.
I don't know. It looks like, you know what? Screw it. It sounds like it's plausible.
Just pretend you're Breitbart and hit publish.
Yeah. You know what? I'm sharing it. Continue. I don't care.
Oh man! Wow. Who knew that Nathan would be a purveyor of fake news?
You know, not necessarily. You know, I bet you he was a George Soros supporter. So Soros and Snopes just protecting him.
It's just Nathan's own truth.
Yeah, my research team didn't research deep enough, but that's all right. It was still hilarious, still awesome. And that photo though is worth a million words.
When you said, I'll be honest, when you said that he was selling this to high school girls and this dude looks as goofy as he does, I was like, how? How is he getting a market for high school girls for the dankest looking energy drink bottle I have ever seen?
From his tree fort.
From his tree fort.
Sometimes I'm disappointed in humanity, and in this case, I'm disappointed that this is not real.
Yeah, that was actually my thought. As soon as that came up, I was like, "Dang it! What the?" Anyways, but anyways, there you go. There's news bits.
Fake news
All right,
bits.
it's not fake. It very well could be fake. You decide, listener. You decide. I give you the pros, the cons. Was it Arabic porn or Mexican porn? Does that really matter to the whole thing of the story? I don't know. I don't know if that's enough to make it verifiably false, according to Snopes. So,
I did not realize that you were not reading from an article. You were reading from a Facebook post. That should have been your first clue, Nathan.
Man. Come on.
Wow.
It's Bush League.
Oh. Hey, you know what? Listen, I was in the Caribbean for a week.
He got a trailer park edition of the New York Times.
I left it up to my research team. Listen, if you guys would have stumbled upon that from your research team, you would have jumped at it too and thought it was amazing.
No. Not if it was on a Facebook post from some dude with a pixelated photo.
You know those people on Twitter that are always the first people to respond to like one of Trump's tweets. Like, you got the people that are like, completely anti-Trump, and they're like, "You're an idiot, go home, resign." And then you got the other people that are like, "Yeah," with every tweet it's like, "Yeah, he's right." Though it seems like from this article, Nathan's news bit, that Nathan's research team is actually one of those people. Yeah, he's right. No, he's wrong. Go home, resign. Also, this guy sells meth Mountain Dew to little high school girls. A little bit of gasoline. Just a tiny bit.
And a pinch of sugar for taste. But it's organic.
It's true, though. It's 100% true. 100% true article that I shared.
Listen, I didn't pass it off as true. I let the listener know as soon as I know. You guys discovered along with me. All right.
Wow. What a downer.
Yeah. I feel like what was that guy's name?
Listen. Jasper Smith.
Yeah. Yeah.
He kind of looks like a Jasper Smith. I'm just saying.
He definitely looks like a meth head for sure. He's way too happy in this picture.
Whoever concocted the article, they just Googled meth head and just used the first or second picture that popped up. They're like, this guy looks like a Jasper Smith.
Uncle Leo, is that you?
Wow.
Yeah, that's sad.
We need Justin Powell and PJ Wenzel back on the show is what we need.
Yeah, when's your next cruise, Nathan?
The look that Nathan just gave me.
I'm booking it right now. Booking my next cruise.
There was no fake news bits on last week's show.
Oh, no. Listen, my news article is from USA Today.
Listen, our research team, our part of our research team, just commented in the Facebook discussion group. This is amazing. So there you go. This is what we deal with.
Huh.
To all our listeners, I apologize. Listen, sometimes you get some bad audio from me, but you never get bad information.
Yeah, I feel like the old ladies that share
believe that's accurate either.
I feel
Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Whoa.
Yeah,
Fake news.
Yeah, that is fake news. I feel like the old ladies that share if I share this, I'm going to have like a Bible full of money posts. I feel like they have a little bit more credibility than that last news bit.
All right, so that news bit brought to you by Essential Oils.
Oh, can we present that news bit by Strikeforce Energy? It just makes sense.
Strikeforce Energy. That news bit was brought to you by StrikeForceEnergy.com. They will not piss in nor add methamphetamine to your energy drink. And
You know what's the best thing about Strikeforce Energy?
there's no piss or meth in it.
It is 100% legal. Yet, I've heard it has some of the same effects of... never mind, I got lost in
internal bleeding.
Internal bleeding.
It will keep you up for
2 days.
For as long as you want to be awake. But definitely not 2 days. I don't think that's healthy, or I don't think that Strikeforce would advocate for that. But it's some good stuff. So for anyone out there who wants some legitimate energy drink or energy beverage, go to StrikeForceEnergy.com and type in coupon code MAP for 20% off everything. 100% certified, no piss, no meth, no gasoline.
Coincidentally,
Only the best.
I'm looking at the ingredients right now, and nope, no gasoline either.
and coincidentally, their new motto is "piss free since '03." So that's a good one. I like that.
That is a good one. It beats kick the can.
Yeah.
All right. So that was news bits. There's some highs and lows in that one. It was like this journey we went on. But that's all right.
Yeah.
So what is our topic today? And I guess I am introducing the topic, aren't I? All right. So this last weekend, the college football playoff committee made their ruling on who's going to be in the college football playoff. And the bowl season is coming upon us, and collectively, the bowls will make a lot of people a lot of money, except for the actual people who are actually doing the work on the field. They get hardly anything. They do get like an Xbox or a watch and some other stuff that they're able to get and not lose their eligibility. But they don't get paid. And obviously there's big money, big dollar signs. And so the question before us, should college players be paid? Yay, nay, or meh is our the denoting there. And so I'm going to go ahead and kick it off to Rob. Paying college players, yay or nay?
Yeah, so this is something that it's one of those topics where if I heard a good argument either way, I guess I could be swayed, but I've always leaned towards the players getting paid, and there's a few reasons. One, the NCAA is an incredibly strict organization as far as rules and regulations and conduct among athletes. Second, it takes in an incredible amount of money off of the backs of these students, things like bowl games, sponsorships, team sponsorships, and even up until they stopped producing the game, which I guess it's coming back, the NCAA college football game, that took in millions upon millions of dollars, billions of dollars over the run of the game. So I would be all for some type of compensation package for players that looked something like a team salary, and then it was divided by divisions and whether or not you were a starter, and it was like a week-to-week thing, and then things like bowl bonuses, NCAA game licensing fees, and then like a max cap overall for the player, so not to exceed a certain amount. So the compensation structure is super debatable, but for me, I can't see why they say, you know what, a scholarship is sufficient. I remember in college basketball listening to some players' testimonies about how they didn't have enough money to eat, and the coach was hemming and hawing about giving them food because that would be an NCAA rules violation back in the 90s. So there's a ton of stories that have come out of this that just make the NCAA look like trash. So I don't see why they can't have some type of compensation structure in place in addition to scholarships, especially since they're obviously not losing money, and they have a lot of money coming in through multiple channels. So I would be for it, but if there was a strong enough argument on the table, I would definitely be willing to listen to it.
Jeremiah.
So first of all, I would push back a little bit on the idea that college athletes don't get paid, because a lot of these college athletes are going to premier schools that are tens of thousands of dollars, some $40,000, $50,000 a year, and they're getting it 100% free. Now, there is an argument to be made, and Rob, you hit on this in your last point, that if they're not actually able to sustain their living because they can't, buy food, that's a problem. And so I don't know enough about this. Maybe Nathan, you can speak to this, but I know that a lot of scholarships can include room and board and tuition and everything included, including like dining hall facilities and everything like that. So I think that if all of that is included in a full ride scholarship, then some of these kids are making certainly more than I made in college, and not to mention the potential for future endeavors, certainly more opportunity than I had. So I if all things are equal, I push back on the idea that they're not getting compensated, because they are, especially when you look at opportunity cost and when you look at down the line the money that they don't have to pay on student loans is that's pretty significant. Even if they come out of it with nothing else, that's still pretty significant.
Yeah, so I am along those lines. They get a college education for free. They also do get a stipend. They also get free tutors. They also get free room and board at their selected universities. And they also get all the perks that go along with their future endeavors. And it's basically a stepping stone to what they want to achieve. The bottom line is, if it truly was this horrible system, then they wouldn't do it. So one person who was interviewed about this was a gentleman by the name of Hayden Hurst. He was a minor league baseball pitcher before becoming a tight end at South Carolina. He said, in college football, they give you access to everything. He was a 17th round pick for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he has seen the difference between two sports at the highest level. In the minors, just getting a post-game meal was a challenge. He said you can go back to the cafeteria and get leftovers from dinner if you make it back in time for dinner. Compare that to his experience nowadays with the South Carolina. He said that the food he gets in Columbia is unbelievable. And by the way, they all have the training tables, which they get all they can eat under the nutrition program. And that is at no cost to them. Now, they don't get their meal stipend, but they have access to it if they choose that. Additionally, is help from the entire staff, people, tutors, trainers, nutritionists, strength coaches, whose sole job is to develop it both on and off field. They have everything you could possibly need. It's very accessible. They give us so much stuff. All right. And there's also something else they get. There's no reason for Hurst to even pack a suitcase when he arrived at the University of South Carolina, because everything he wears is complimentary. All right. Everything. So they have Under Armour shoes, or if there are Adidas deals, everything they wear, right? So it's not as if they are not getting anything. Another thing to look at when you come to the money, so we look at the big dollar signs, right? And we think, oh man, all these dollar signs. But you also have to look at what most most sports programs at universities are very close to in the red. And so, yes, football and basketball make a lot of money. But on most campuses, football and basketball are the only sports that actually generate revenue. And so the football and basketball programs are actually supporting every other sports program on campus. So I do think that there's something to talk about when it comes to the different rules. Like, for example, if you play tennis at a school and you want to go and do a tennis tournament, or you want to work, there's not that many restrictions as opposed to if you are a football or basketball athlete. And there are reasons for that. Obviously, schools aren't exactly going to be paying large sums of money for the top tennis players, right? So there are built-in things there. I think it's enough when you look at the medical care they get for free, and you stack up everything they get for free compared to a fellow college attendee. I think it adds up to a pretty nice compensation package.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. I think a few things. I think if anything, the program could be better. For example, as far as I know, we'll talk about football for a minute. Most football teams in Division I have 85 men on the roster. Scholarship allotments are in the 60s. So there's players, walk-ons on the team that don't have those same scholarship opportunities. I don't know if that extends to things like stipends or meal passes, or room and board for those who are not on scholarship. Other things, too, that's interesting under the NCAA rules is you can't hold a job while your sport is in season. Now, in season doesn't just mean while there are games on the schedule. It can be preseason and postseason as well. So that's limiting what athletes can do as well. Now, some might say, well, they should be practicing and studying and they don't really have time for a job. But a lot of studies that I've read, that 20 hours a week, part-time job, even for collegiate athletes, doesn't impact their GPA, nor does it impact their performance. It's arguable, but it's something. The other thing, too, is that the NCAA overall is making billions of dollars. So it's not just the individual schools. And plus, you can talk about the top 10 Division I schools, but there's over 120 teams, talking college football again, that are in this allotment as well. So a team like Kentucky for football might not be as great as Alabama, or Montana might not be as great as Alabama as far as facilities and what the schools offer and whatnot. So I think the program could be better. I think the NCAA could be a little bit more, if they're not going to pay athletes, they can be a little bit less restrictive in their rules. So yeah, they're getting the students that are under scholarship. They just allowed cash stipends up to $5,000 a year? Do you know?
$5,000. Yep.
Yeah. So they allowed stipends, which is new, right? That hasn't been going on for very long.
No, it's been going around since the 90s, but they put it more formalized.
Okay.
And it's called the cost of attendance.
Yeah,
And
it's like a gap.
And it's for the, I believe it's for the school year, but the summer counts as a school year. So if they do classes in the summer, they get an additional $5,000.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't disagree that the students that are under scholarship and are getting stipends and medical attention, even the example that you gave with the clothing, that's great. I just think that the program could even be expanded to encompass all of the athletes, not just the ones under scholarship, and also looking at the difference from what the NCAA makes versus what the colleges make. I think there could be some room to make the program better, I guess would be my perspective.
Well, the reason they have scholarship limits in the first place, it's not university driven, it's NCAA driven, because you don't want Alabama stashing 200 scholarship players.
Right.
Because it creates more competition.
But why wouldn't you allow the team to have, if a max roster is 85, why wouldn't you allow them 85 scholarships? I get the 200, right?
They're able to have 85 scholarship players. I think it's actually 85 plus 3.
4 scholarships?
Mm-hmm.
I thought they capped full scholarships at like 62.
No, I don't believe so.
To allow for like walk-on and partials, and they can divide those up how they see fit. So they could have like 50 scholarships that are full.
No, I think it's 80. So there are other sports that you are able to get. Well, you could give partial scholarships.
Yeah.
But like for like baseball, for example, like some of their players get like quarter scholarships or whatever. Because they only have a certain allotment. Because the amount of scholarships have to line up male and female.
Okay. All right.
So let me ask a question about the job. So the the fact that they can't have a job during the season, that seems a little ridiculous to me. However, is there a reason for that? And is that it? This is me making an assumption, I guess, / question is it that in getting a quote unquote job that could be a backdoor into essentially them getting paid by
donors?
By donors or by a team. Like, is that to prevent there being from some sort of conflict of interest? Is that the reasoning there, or is it just a stupid rule?
I think it would be extremely easy to attach, like, to their I-9 statement that they fill out when they get a job, something like a fair and reasonable market rate for a position. You know what I mean? So you don't have some kid who's scooping ice cream at like $50 an hour, because he's the school QB. I think it'd be very easy to put that standard in place.
Now, another thing with college football, their walk-ons actually do get everything besides the actual scholarship itself.
Okay.
Now, it's not to mean they aren't able to get a athletic scholarship, but doesn't mean they aren't eligible for academic scholarships.
I see.
Like in Nebraska, our preferred walk-ons, they get everything, the same support that a normal scholarship athlete would get, minus the athletic scholarship. But there's a special Nebraska scholarship that they're eligible for. In cases.
Isn't that weird though? Like you're on the team, you're doing the same work relatively as the other players, but the compensation is different.
Yeah, it's kind of like being in company.
I get that, but this
work about.
but
yeah,
this
isn't it
but-
crazy
but
that
this is different?
that
This is
you don't
different than
make
a
the same
company.
amount as the CEO of your company, Rob?
No,
Isn't that
no, this is
crazy?
far different though, because this is under.
Is it really?
It
It's
is
not.
because it's
No,
under
not.
a Division I
No,
umbrella.
No, it's not, because you're at a Division I school as a walk-on, and you're doing a job that isn't the QB.
It might be.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing as professional. A quarterback's not gonna, or the starting quarterback is gonna make significantly more than the third string kicker.
Yeah, you know who was a walk-on? Baker Mayfield, Heisman Trophy winner last year. But he became a walk-on because he specifically wanted to go to Oklahoma. They didn't have the scholarship allotments available, and he could afford to do it. But it was a movie made, similar to somebody who says, "Hey, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to become an intern. I'm doing the exact same job as somebody who's paid with the company, but I'm actually doing an internship."
But that
Because
gets
it's
me
gonna
back to
promote
the
my career.
question of having 85 scholarships, though. So if there's 85 scholarships on the team, why is there walk-ons that don't get scholarships?
Because there's 150. Like in Nebraska, we want to have about 160
160 what?
players on the team.
Really? I thought they had like roster limits.
No, you just have to. Your roster limits are purely like Title IX related, so you have to have an additional female sport or whatever. But we're going to have in the next 2 years, we're going to have 160 players on the team.
Wow.
So here's my thing. So when we came into this discussion, we were even talking about this earlier today. I didn't really have a strong opinion one way or another, and I'm kind of similar to Rob that my just in the opposite direction that my thought is that essentially they are getting paid, they are getting compensated, and I think it's fair for what they're doing. Are there rules that can be adjusted? Sure. And frankly, if I heard a good argument in the opposite direction, I don't have a strong opinion, even though I have come on strong here. But here's the real issue, and here's I guess why I'm passionate about this. When I hear quotes from students basically complaining about student athletes complaining about I didn't have enough food, or it's. If there's a reasonable issue there, then yeah, let's get it fixed. But honestly, what it sounds to me, it sounds like entitlement. It sounds like, oh well, I'm not getting enough, and and it's the same. And it's not just student athletes. It's I heard this when I was in college, like, oh, I don't have time to work a job because I've got to keep my GPA up. And it's like, okay, but what about the people that have a 4.0 GPA and are working 60 hours a week?
Right.
Like, it happens. And guess what? Life sucks and life is hard. Like, I'm sorry, but, and then so you've got just even in college football, let's say college football as an example, what percentage of college players actually make it onto a team in a decent school in college sports? It's not as small as NFL, obviously, but it's still a small percentage. Like, you are the best of the best in that sport, in that arena, and that comes with pros and it comes with cons. And like, I'm sorry, I'm not really gonna feel that bad for you. In a lot of ways, like, you signed up for it. It's allowed you, for most of these students, and I hear so many testimonies of people coming out of bad neighborhoods and bad living conditions, and college sports saved them, and they got a college education that they never would have had elsewhere. And it's like, they're appreciative of it, and then you got other people that come into it with an entitlement mentality, and it's like, oh well, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm getting $5,000 a semester, but that's not enough. It's like,
Yeah.
well, that's more than someone making minimum wage at part-time minimum wage.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah. So I don't know. I don't. Here's my thing. I don't really have a strong opinion about whether they should or should not get paid, but I do have a strong reaction to people feeling like they are entitled to more than they have, especially by just about every standard. These students have a leg up compared to nearly every other student in the country.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Rob, about scholarship limits, FBS, which is your Power 5, and your group of 5 schools, FBS are allowed a maximum of 85 players receiving athletically based aid per year, with each player allowed to receive up to a full scholarship. FCS, they are allowed the same 85 player limit, but are allowed to give aid equivalent to only 63 full scholarships.
Okay, I see. All right. One thing I wanted your opinion on as well was, this isn't as relevant of a topic anymore, but it might be in the coming years as this game is coming back. But one player had made a fairly convincing argument about licensing and jerseys for games, for Xbox, Sony, whatever, that they can use their likeness, they can use their image, they can use their number, but they don't receive anything off of that, and they're contributing more to the school than other players, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and that's also why we haven't had NCAA on EA Sports for the last however many years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So none of us can play the video game. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, players.
Yeah, but like for 20 years,
I
20
do-
years
I-
it was
I-
like that,
I'm-
though, right?
I'm okay with that argument. I have a likeness. I'm inclined to my likeness. I should be able to do like sponsorship deals and that kind of stuff. I think if it was limited, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. That's all. Just the players that are contributing more to that market, because they don't, that in any other market they would be compensated.
Yeah, I'm actually okay with that.
Well,
I don't believe in paying players, but if we wanted to say, okay, there's limited licensing, you have the ability to, on a limited basis, do, ads and stuff like that through the university. I'm okay with that. It
Well,
would be very difficult, though, from a practical standpoint, to be able to monitor to make sure. I mean, the SEC cheats all the time, anyways. Imagine giving them the ability to give their players "quote unquote" ad money. Well, our fourth string QB made $50,000 last year in ad buys, like doing ad reads for a local dealership.
I don't think it's that. I
that's
think
all
I think
above
it's
board,
just.
I
I think
promise.
it's just direct money from jerseys.
Here's
and
my
games.
thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
Oh no, I think it's just. I don't think it should be like from ad buys from like dealership reads. I was saying just specifically under the scope of jersey sales from the school and also NCAA licensing fees for the game. I don't think it should be like, hey, this is Reggie Bush and I'm all about Bushwhackers LLC or whatever. Nothing like that. I think it should be just under the NCAA umbrella for licensing. That's all. Go ahead, Jeremiah. Sorry.
Yeah, just to play devil's advocate on that, though, I mean, if you are the employee of an organization or a company, you don't, under the banner of that employee-employer relationship, you don't always have the rights to your likeness. Take pictures of me, use it in marketing materials. Like there are certain things that are allowed there too. So, yeah, like I said, just to play devil's advocate, like I don't know that there's as much of an argument there that, yes, that's how it works in the NFL, but that's not necessarily how it has to work It's just a little bit of pushback on the idea that in any other market, you know, you would be credited for that. Now it's different because that likeness is worth something, and it's not always worth something if you're just working for a random, you know, law firm or whatever. But, you know, the point is that there are certain rights that you give away being an employee, or in this case, a player on a team.
Yeah, but I think the argument. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Nathan.
Well, I just it's bringing out more numbers. So in the football subdivision, 130 schools, between 50 and 60% of football and men's basketball programs generated positive revenues.
Yeah.
So, and in the FCS is even worse. Only 4% of football and 5% of men's basketball programs generated positive revenues. So it's not exactly like there's tons of money to go around.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily just from the school level. I'm just talking about from the NCAA organization as a whole. Because they do things like the game and jersey licensing and all that jazz. I think, though, for like the company perspective, there's like, for example, at the company I work for, they have, if you're in any type of PR, you have to agree to be in it. They can't just walk around and take pictures and then promote with your image. It's actually against the law, at least in Michigan, because every time we do something where it's promo, we have to sign away our rights for the use of our image. So that might be just the company thing, or it seems like, based on the documentation I've signed, a state thing. But regardless, I think, like, for me, if I was a player or an employee and my image would go to help the company make more sales, which would put more money in my pocket, then that would be a win. Same thing for players. You know, if Vince Young was on the cover of, you know, NCAA 07, and that made the sales go up 20% compared to, you know, when Bush was on it or whatever, it just should be more money in their pocket because it's their image. That's all.
Which I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think it would be difficult to manage.
For sure.
And I think that's the issue.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we've been that. But Jeremiah, if people have comments or they want to weigh in on the topic, where would they go?
Yeah, as always, our listeners can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the handle is @MoneyPowerPod. They can also join our exclusive Facebook group by visiting moneypowerpod.com/group. And by exclusive, I just mean that you have to go to that link and click join. And you'll be in the Facebook group and you can talk to us. So it is exclusive in the sense that we have a lot less people in the group than we have listeners. So if you are not a part of that discussion group, we would definitely love to have you there. moneypowerpod.com/group. And people can email us at info@moneypowerpod.com. And we would love to hear from you in any of those formats. Message us, tweet at us, comment, join our Facebook group. We would love to hear from you, our beloved listeners. Tell us how mad you are that Nathan strung you along in his news bit and just pretended like he was giving you the news, but it realistically, just fake news, man. Just fake news. So tell us how angry you are at him, or tell me how angry you are at me for my poor mic quality last week. We would love, either way, we'd love to hear from you at MoneyPowerPod on all socials.
Excellent. And Rob, we are brought to our wonderful listeners by a wonderful advertiser, been sponsoring us, and we are brought to you by Hover.com. And you want to tell everyone about that?
Yeah, so Hover.com is a premium domain service. They service people for transferring from one site to another, for emails, and obviously for finding the right website for your business, blog, or whatever you want to do, leisurely activities. The one thing that I really like about Hover is that everything is in one fee. I've talked about this for several weeks now. The great thing about it is there's no add-on fees. You want secure site lock, it's included. You want 256-bit encryption on the domain, it's included. Everything is under one umbrella, one price for Hover. It's a great service. I use it for both of my companies, and we use it for the Infinity Podcast Network as well as all of the shows underneath that umbrella. It is a first-class service, and they're giving our listeners 10% off for hover.com/moneyandpower. So hover.com/moneyandpower for 10% off all of the services they offer. Check them out.
Outstanding. All right. Now we come to the part of the show where we give our rants, our thoughts in the week. Parting shots. Rob, what do you got?
So a follow-up to last week's news bit, I talked about how I was about 5% away from, it's a two-part news bit, 5% away from John Grisham's book being finished. And I said, as long as the ending doesn't blow, then it'll be about a 4.5. It blew. It was terrible. It is probably, and I love John Grisham, it is probably the worst book I've ever read by him. And I'd probably rate it at about a 2.4. So yeah, follow up for that because I know everyone cared. The second thing is that I had the opportunity today to go to a elementary school and teach about financial wellness through this volunteer program that the company I work for does. And it was really interesting. So I just wanted to give them a plug. It's actually a good program. I reviewed. It's a 5-week course. It's 1 hour per week. And it works really well. It teaches, it's K through 12, so different curriculums for different grades, but they're attempting to get into all high schools in the country, and it's sponsored through businesses, and it's called Junior Achievement. So it's actually a pretty solid program, and the company that I work for is sponsoring, I think, several programs between Lansing and Detroit. They said that they were their annual sponsor for the state, so that's pretty incredible. And it's a solid program, and I like teaching it. And surprisingly, 8-year-olds can have a pretty solid grasp on money. I'm not very good at like the whole you should know this by this age, but I was pretty impressed by how much they knew. And it was a great class to teach. So check them out. It's Junior Achievement. It's a nonprofit, fantastic company, and a very good wellness program for kids.
Outstanding. Jeremiah, parting shot.
So my parting shot for this evening is really short and simple. And this is, as I was driving over to the studio today, and I see all the Christmas lights out, and I see all the decorations around town, it's just really nice to see that the rest of the world caught up to us enlightened folks that have had our Christmas decorations up for quite a few weeks now. So now that the rest of the world is caught up to us, it's just like everything in the world is just right, and I'm really enjoying it.
So Rob, do you have your Christmas tree up?
Christmas tree is up. Lights are not up.
I mean, that's the important part is the tree.
Right? Yeah, the tree usually goes up the weekend after Thanksgiving. Usually that Sunday after Thanksgiving we'll do it.
And it's officially Advent, so Jay Trailer can get off our case about Christmas because he's like, you have to wait till Advent. Advent's here. There you go. So, all right. My parting shot is a twofer. First, George H.W. Bush passed away.
Yes.
And he was the last president to have served in World War II. He also was the last in a string of presidents who actually served in the military. And so that kind of ebbed and flowed. Obviously, W served as well, and Clinton, Obama, and Trump have not. And so it was kind of just the last of a generation. I think his greatest achievements were twofold. One was the war he didn't get in. After the Berlin Wall fell, we take all this stuff for granted, but at the time, his calm demeanor and his grace and not doing a victory lap against communism kind of allowed that region to not devolve into bloodshed. And then obviously the war he did wage. Up until that point, I think we had a long string of kind of foreign type disasters almost, but in a matter of time, we waged war in Panama decisively, and then also in Kuwait decisively, and we did it with overwhelming force, and it kind of renewed the sense of United States superiority on the military spectrum. And so both those were kind of seminal achievements, and his presidency I don't think gets as much credit as it should, but certainly his life, from being an aviator to being the director of the CIA to vice president to president, a long life of service, and well done. And so that is my parting shot. And I was going to talk about the college football playoff and how the SEC sucks and I hate them, and how they just need to actually schedule good teams.
Amen.
Stop whining about their 2-loss team not getting into the college football play. Like, are you kidding me? Like, gosh, the ignorance and the arrogance of the people down south. It's wonderful. It's like they can't win a civil war, so they're going to create a football conference. They're going to claim it's best. Whatever.
Cool. I was looking forward to losing those listeners anyway. Well done. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. Arrogance. But that's all right.
Coming from a 4-12 Nebraska fan.
Listen.
Poor guy. I'm sorry.
Hey, yeah, but I'm not claiming they deserve to be in the playoff.
Not yet.
Also not claiming that Michigan, the 2-loss team who didn't win our championship, deserves to be in the playoff either over everyone else. You know what I'm saying? Like,
who are you specifically referencing that are complaining about not being in the playoff?
The Georgia fans. Georgia.
Okay.
Because they almost beat Alabama. I guess almost all of a sudden count.
Yeah.
They got creamed by LSU. That's the thing. It's like, just don't lose to LSU.
Yeah. Word.
Whatever. All right. Well, gentlemen, that was another great show in the books. People could actually hear Jeremiah and his eloquence.
Well, we hope so. We didn't realize there was an issue last week until after we were done recording. So hopefully Rob doesn't take a look at this to edit it and then realize like I'm just non-existent in the audio. That would not be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully it actually gets posted on Thursday.
Funny jokes. I'll have you know, last week's show went up on Thursday.
Yep, 11:59 on Thursday.
Hold on.
Boom.
AM.
All right.
AM. Let's make that clear. Guys, I was busy. I was out of town. What do you want from me?
For Jeremiah, for Rob, I am Nathan, your adorable host, back in the command chair, bringing the fake news like it's nobody's business. But what is not fake news is that we love our listeners. Thank you very much for listening. subscribing, reviewing. Good night and good luck.
I got the money and the power. Once you get a little, they just wanna take you down, cuz we've been going hard for too long.